Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Morgan and I'm Council's Chief Executive Officer. I extend a warm welcome to the gallery here at the President's Room in Numurkah and those joining us via live stream for this afternoon's scheduled meeting of Council. Consistent with Section 13.3 of our governance rules, Council officers have been authorised to record the public session of this meeting using appropriate recording devices. I now turn to the Chair for the prayer and the welcome.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Could I please ask everybody to rise whilst I read the prayer and acknowledgement of traditional owners. Almighty God, we humbly ask you to guide our deliberations for the welfare and benefit of the Moira Shire and its people whom we serve. Moira Shire Council acknowledges the Yorta Yorta Nation as the traditional owners of this land. We recognise the deep spiritual connection to land, waterways and community of the 8 clan groups of the Yorta Yorta Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Please be seated. A very warm welcome to everybody joining today's scheduled council meeting of the Moira Shire Council being held in Numurkah. Particularly a warm welcome to those members of the gallery who have joined today's meeting. Great to see you along. And to those who are joining us on the live streaming facility, a very warm welcome to you as well. Do we have any apologies or requests for leave?
No, Chair.
No apologies and no requests for leave of absence. Are there any matters of conflict of interest to be declared on tonight's agenda? If not, we'll take it there are no matters of conflict of interest to be declared. Item 6 on the agenda is the confirmation of minutes from our previous meeting, which was held on Wednesday, 25 March of 2026. The minutes have been provided with the agenda. Is there a mover for this matter?
Thank you. I'd like to move that the minutes of the scheduled council meeting held on Wednesday, the 25th of March, 2026, as presented, be adopted.
And I'm happy to second that motion. I assume you don't wish to speak to that motion. I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. We'll move to item 7 on tonight's agenda, and that is addresses from administrators. It was a great pleasure to represent Council at the official opening of the Cobram Anglican Grammar's Trade Centre on the 27th of March. This magnificent new facility provides leading-edge educational facilities in trades, technology and particularly robotics. Sincerest congratulations are extended to the board of Cobram Anglican Grammar and particularly to Principal Keith Willett for their vision, their determination and their resilience to bring this magnificent facility into reality for the benefit of our young people. The Numurkah Flood Protection Implementation Committee met again on the 31st of March here in Numurkah. They were briefed on the substantial progress being made in completing the Stage 1 construction levy, together with the design for Stage 2. The committee, which comprises a number of local community members with a very keen interest in the development of the levy, and it was really pleasing to hear that Stage 1 works will be completed by mid-year, which will provide protection to more than 600 properties on the north side of the Broken Creek. Detailed design for Stage 2 levies to protect properties in the southern part of Numurkah is also underway, with 50% funding already committed by the Commonwealth Government. As part of our advocacy for the forthcoming Victorian state election, we are seeking commitments from all major political parties to commit to funding 25% of Stage 2 works, with Council meeting the balance. The Numurkah Levy Stage 2 works are part of a broader advocacy campaign Council has undertaken in advance of the November state election. The campaign includes 6 key strategic priorities that the community has identified as requiring state government support to enhance the livability, community wellbeing and economic prosperity of Moira. Other initiatives include improvements in road safety through major intersection upgrades and safer movement of children in the school precincts, better education outcomes, including the consolidation of education facilities at the Yarrawonga P12 site, improvements in community safety, including a new police station in Cobram, and replacement of the Yarrawonga Mawala Bridge, and a new sports pavilion at the Scots Reserve in Cobram. The panel of administrators are progressively meeting with representatives of the major political parties to highlight these community priorities and to seek commitments in advance of the forthcoming state election. It was wonderful for Administrator Susan and I to attend the official opening of the Yarrawonga Speedboat Spectacular and Fair, which was held on the Yarrawonga foreshore last Saturday. This world-class event is a wonderful showcase for Yarrawonga Mawala as a tourism and events destination. It was great to see the very large crowds on the foreshore across the whole weekend to enjoy the speedboat racing, a motocross exhibition, and to enjoy the carnival-like atmosphere. Council is a major sponsor of this event, and congratulations are extended to the Yarrawonga Mawala Tourism and Business, the Victorian Speedboat Club, and the many, many sponsors, community groups and volunteers who make this event possible. We also had the opportunity to welcome local tourism operators from across Federation, Berrigan and Moira councils to a tourism network event in Mawala on Monday. This event, organised by the tourism staff across the three councils, was a great opportunity to learn more about the importance of local tourism operators in embracing the digital age for promotion and business development. This example of collaboration by the three councils across the river was an important initiative in supporting the local tourism sector. And I want to congratulate our tourism staff across the three councils for their wonderful efforts in putting this event on. I'll now move to Administrator Bernard Dyker for your address at tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Administrator. April's been a positive and energetic month across the Moira Shire with strong community participation, constructive regional collaboration and an opportunity to celebrate leadership development in our region. Active April is an initiative dedicated to supporting Victorians to live a more active and healthy life. Throughout April, Moira Shire Council has been working in partnership with a wide range of organisations, including NCN Health and Yarrawonga Health, to deliver Active April events across the Shire. Chair Administrator Emerson and I were very pleased to visit Family Day fun activities being held in Cobram and Yarrawonga. It was wonderful to see the enthusiasm and engagement from participants of all ages, from toddlers through to older residents of all abilities, enjoying a wide range of activities on offer. These events were very well attended and warmly received, highlighting the value of accessible, fun, inclusive health and wellbeing initiatives within our communities. Congratulations to everyone involved in organising and delivering these events. A full calendar of the remaining Active April activities is available on Council's website, with many, many opportunities still underway for residents to get involved. On the 15th of April, Chair Administrator Emerson, CEO Matthew Morgan and I attended an important face-to-face meeting with the Murray-Darling Basin Authority. We met with the Chair of the Authority, Darryl Quinn-Livin, and senior MDBA executives in two sessions, one alongside the other Murray River Group of Council members, and then separately in a dedicated session for Moira Shire Council. The Murray-Darling Basin Authority is currently undertaking extensive consultation as part of its review of the Murray-Darling Basin Plan, with submissions closing very soon on 1st of May 2026. We've been working closely with other councils through the Murray River Councils Group to present a joint submission, and we're also preparing a standalone Moira Shire Council submission. In our advocacy, we raised the real-life impacts of the Basin Plan on local agriculture production, flow-on economic effects, and the well-being of our communities, and we were able to cite direct examples calling for greater consideration of the impacts on communities and how to mitigate those impacts. These issues will also be clearly documented in our submissions. Community leadership remains central to building strong, healthy and vibrant communities. With this in mind, it was an absolute pleasure to attend the celebration of 30 years of the Fairlie Community Leadership Program, which was held in Shepparton on the 17th of April. The evening recognised a significant contribution the program has made in developing connected, skilled community leaders across the region, and the impacts derived directly from the projects and programs developed by those leaders. Moira Shire Council has been a long-term supporter of the Fairlie Leadership Program, and it was particularly pleasing to see Council well represented, with our Coordinator of Customer Experience and a graduate of the Fairlie Program, Jacinta Adamo, also attending. There are now many Fairlie graduates making an impact across the Moira Shire, and we look forward to this continuing. Strong leadership continues to make meaningful difference to our communities, and anniversaries such as this are a timely reminder of the value of ongoing investment in community leadership.
Thank you, Administrator Benedika. We'll now move to item 8 on tonight's agenda, and that is Officer Reports for Determination. The first of those is item 8.1, Moira Creative Arts Hub Review Recommendations, and I'd invite the Director of Community, Mr. Scott Williams, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, we'd like to extend our sincere congratulations and thanks to the Creative Arts Hubs for their outstanding contribution across arts and culture across all our communities. Since the establishment of the Arts Hub program in 2020, they've worked to deliver meaningful place-based arts that bring our residents together, strengthen community identity, and really enrich the lives of our residents across the Shire. So we thank them for their dedication and passion to community art. It's genuinely valued and celebrated. And all this is being reflected in the report completed by Sandbox Consulting, who undertook an independent review of the program to ensure it meets community needs now into the future. And so the review's findings have informed a recommended hybrid funding model that prioritises flexibility and maximises the flow of funds directly into community hands. And I confirm we will provide that report to the Arts Hubs for review. The proposed model recognises that community arts vary in size and capacity, and by offering both triennial funding agreements for established organisations and annual project-based grant stream, we can ensure that more groups have the opportunity to access those funds. So should Council endorse the recommendations, officers will develop detailed guidelines for both of those streams, and that will include engagement with the existing arts hubs. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Is there a mover for this item tonight?
Yes, Chair, I would like to move that Council, number 1, note the Arts Hub Model Review, Insights and Recommendations Report prepared by Sandbox Consulting and included in Attachment 1. 2, endorse in principle the implementation of a hybrid funding model for arts and cultural delivery across Moira Shire, comprising A, triennial funding agreements through an open expression of interest process for established community arts organisations with demonstrated capacity to deliver ongoing place-based programs. B, an annual project-based creative arts funding grant stream to provide equitable access to funding for a broader range of community groups and activities. 3, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or a delegate of the Chief Executive Officer to develop detailed funding guidelines for both funding streams. 4, requests that the draft guidelines are presented to Council for consideration at a future Council meeting, after providing an opportunity for existing arts hubs to provide feedback on the draft guidelines. 5, requests that a copy of the Insights and Recommendations report be provided to the existing arts hubs.
I'm happy to second that motion. Do you wish to speak as the mover of the motion?
I do wish to speak and to endorse Mr. Williams' comments that we've really valued the work of the current community arts hubs, and there is obvious commitment to place-based arts delivery. What we did in looking at the report, the insights and recommendations report, is try to work out how to get the funding out more equitably across the Shire. So really it goes directly that each community has the chance and the ability to have these creative arts opportunities. So the recommendation that's come to us, and the one that I've just now read as a motion, really says that we think that it's better with a two-part funding arrangement. One is to have triennial funding agreements with more mature organisations who can really handle getting the funding out, making sure that it's really well across the region, across their particular places, but also have a flexible expression of interest-based process, a creative arts funding grant stream to fund a broader range of community groups and activities. I'm very pleased to move this motion. I'm particularly pleased at the work that's been put in, and very deep thanks and gratitude to the Creative Art Hubs for their input.
And as seconder of the motion, I'm very happy to be supporting this motion on the basis that the current model for the arts hubs has been in place since 2020. So we're 6 years on, and it is right and it's proper that we actually undertake a review to make sure that we are delivering the best possible outcomes from our funding for community art in the community. Community art is an essential part of the livability of communities, and it is incumbent on us to ensure that we do review the way we approach the promotion of community art to make sure that we're getting best value for money. The hybrid model seeks to keep the best of the existing arrangements, but it also creates additional flexibility to deliver a broader range of arts outcomes. And I think that's a really positive step forward. We've learned a lot over the 6 years. We've learned what works well, but we've also got an understanding that there's an opportunity to use our funding to deliver even better community outcomes through reducing administrative burdens, but also increasing flexibility to deliver a broader range of art outcomes for our communities. So I again want to thank the arts hubs. I'd like to also thank those involved in the review of the model. It's a very sound piece of work, and I look forward to that becoming available to our arts hubs to have full visibility of the work that's been undertaken to date. There will be guidelines produced that will guide both the triennial and the annual project-based funding grant streams. And the resolution, if it is carried here tonight, provides an opportunity for those with an interest in the community arts within our community to provide feedback on those draft guidelines through the existing arts hubs. So with that, I'm very happy to be seconding this, and I think it will lead to better community art outcomes across our broader community. With that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.2 on tonight's agenda is the Budget Management Framework, and I would invite our Acting Director of Corporate Performance, Ms Amanda Finn, to introduce this item.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider and adopt a newly developed budget management framework and also 8 Council-selected local government performance reporting framework measures to be included as performance targets from the 2026-27 financial year. The budget management framework has been developed to provide a comprehensive and consistent approach to budget governance across Council. The framework addresses current legislative requirements under sections 94 to 97 of the Local Government Act 2020 and establishes systematic processes to support long-term financial sustainability and strategic alignment with the Council plan. The framework was presented to Council's Audit and Risk Committee on the 12th of February. The committee recommended its adoption to Council, and feedback from that meeting, along with the recently announced changes to the local government performance reporting framework, have been incorporated into the framework document presented tonight. The framework covers 5 key areas: legislative compliance, a 6-stage approval hierarchy from budget owner development through to Council adoption, with clear links between community priorities and resource allocation; zero-based budgeting, which requires budget owners to justify every dollar of operating expenditure, replacing the practice of simply adjusting prior year allocations. Capital budget development, which establishes the asset plan as the primary foundation document, requiring consideration of whole-of-life costs and organisational capacity. Community Initiatives Fund, a new fund capped at $500,000 to support significant community-led projects aligned with major council plan initiatives, separate from the existing Community Strengthening Grants program. And the revised performance measures, amendments to the Local Government Planning and Reporting Regulations 2020, took effect from the 1st of January 2026. Council is required to set targets for 8 mandatory performance measures and an additional 8 selected measures to be reported in the annual report. The selective measures proposed tonight span aquatic facilities, library services, maternal and child health, electric usage, and rates and charges debt collection, all chosen to reflect Moira's strategic priorities and service profile. If the recommendations are adopted by Council, officers will develop and present to Council a reserves policy and a community initiatives program guideline by the 30th of June and the 30th of September, respectively. The selective LGPRF performance targets will take effect from the 2026-27 annual budget. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms Finn. I'm happy to move that Council Number 1 adopt the Budget Management Framework as presented in Attachment 1 and, secondly, adopt the 8 Council-selected Local Government Performance Reporting Framework measures as detailed in Appendix C of Attachment 1 to be included as performance targets in Council's annual budget and reported against in the performance statement of Council's annual report, effective from the 2026-27 financial year. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Yes, I'd like to second that motion.
The budget management framework that we have in front of us tonight is simply leading edge best practice. This framework, for the first time, describes an end-to-end approach to how budget management should be undertaken. I really do want to compliment particularly our finance staff for the work that they've done in capturing such a transparent and comprehensive approach to the management, the development and the compliance aspects of Council's budget preparation. This is a really important part of our overall governance suite of documents, and I'm delighted to see the quality of this work that's being presented to us here tonight. It encapsulates a number of existing practices. It enshrines some new leading edge practice. And of course it does, as Ms Finn has already said, introduces for the first time a community initiatives fund. So this will be a rolling fund that will be available to community initiated projects of more than $10,000. They will be subjected to, of course, a set of assessment criteria, but it will provide a source of funds to enable and support the community to advance community initiatives. And I think this is a really positive step forward. The performance measures do encapsulate some really important elements of Council's operational performance, and I'm very pleased to see those 8 discretionary measures included in this report for our adoption, which of course will take effect from the 2026-27 financial year. So I'm very pleased to be supporting what I think is really leading edge best practice work. And again, I do want to compliment our staff for their efforts in putting together this really important piece of our governance framework. Would you like to speak as seconder of the motion?
Certainly, I'd really like to echo those comments on the congratulations to the staff. This is showing a lot of maturity in the development of budgets from end to end, and that maturity is now being spelt out so that it stays there as a legacy piece. We can look at how it works, refine it as required, but it gives that consistency and the clarity. As mentioned by Ms Finn, that the Audit, Risk and Finance Committee had a look at it. The independent members add a lot of value to our thinking and were really able to help us make this shape up very well. I would also like to go back to some of those key principles: zero-based budgeting, using our asset plan as the guide. So we look at the asset plan, the condition reports, the whole of life costs. So we don't just take on bright, shiny new ideas. We actually think of the whole of life. The Community Initiatives Fund outlined by the Chair Administrator is a really great new initiative, and we still have the ability to work quite closely with community on things that align with the community plan and ultimately develop and implement the community vision. And those revised performance measures go right across the suite of things that Council covers. So I'm very, very happy to second this motion.
With that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.3 is the review of maternal and child health and immunisation services, and I would invite the Director of Community, Mr Scott Williams, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair. A comprehensive review by KF Consulting carefully considered the financial sustainability and the long-term service delivery models for both maternal health, maternal and child health, and immunisation programs. To be clear, Chair, this review is about ensuring the long-term structural and financial sustainability of these services so that Council can continue to support quality MCH and immunisation services well into the future. The recommended approach is to maintain Council's direct commitment to the MCH service while transitioning immunisation delivery to an accredited external provider. Community access, equity and quality of care all remain at the centre of this decision. With this model, Council would retain responsibility for service coordination and contract management, and the procurement process would include clear contract specifications to ensure community access, geographic coverage, session frequency, and culturally safe delivery. Should Council endorse these recommendations, officers will develop an implementation plan covering these service specifications, procurement process design, clinical governance standards, and transition milestones. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr Williams. Is there a motion for this item tonight?
Yes, Chair, I'd like to move that Council, number 1, note the findings and recommendations of the review of the Maternal and Child Health Service and Immunisation Service final report completed by KF Consulting, included in Attachment 1. 2, reaffirm Council's commitment to the direct delivery of maternal and child health services, including ongoing advocacy to the Victorian Government, and to undertake actions to restore the intended 50-50 State Council co-funding model for universal MCH, maternal and child health services. 3, endorse the transition of the immunisation program from direct service delivery by Council to an outsourced delivery model, with Council retaining responsibility for service coordination and contract management. 4, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or a delegate of the Chief Executive Officer to implement the above resolutions, including undertaking a competitive procurement process to engage an accredited external provider to deliver the immunisation program, with contract specifications that ensure Council continues to meet its statutory obligations under the Public Health and Wellbeing Act 2008 and maintains equitable access to immunisation services across the Shire.
And I'm happy to second that motion. Do you wish to speak as the mover of the motion?
Reviews like this are a significant way of us being able to look at practices that have gone on in the past and then work out what is sustainable into the future while delivering the services that we need to deliver as Council. This motion directly reaffirms Council's commitment to direct delivery of maternal and child health services, and it also looks to take actions to restore a 50-50 co-funding model between the state and Council. And that will take a bit of transition. We've certainly, that's out of kilter at the moment. This recommendation or this motion also endorses the transition of the immunisation program from Council being the direct deliverers of the service to Council ensuring that there is delivery of the service, and that service meets all our contract obligations, meets all the governance requirements, including clinical governance, and is delivered equitably across the Shire. So we're making that very, very clear in this recommendation. So with that, that's my end of talking to the motion.
Thank you, Administrator Benedika. As seconder of the motion, I'd also like just to reinforce that the undertaking of service planning, which is what this exercise is about, is a really important part of our overall stewardship and governance responsibilities. And all our major services will be going through service reviews over the forthcoming period, over the forthcoming years. It is important to understand that this review has been a very, very comprehensive one, and it did find that our maternal and child health services are held in very high regard. It is a very valuable and well-regarded service, and the recommendation tonight and the motion before us has council staying in the direct service provision of maternal and child health. What it does also foreshadow, though, is that the 50-50 state co-funding contribution model has got out of whack, and council is now contributing a substantial more than 50% of the overall service costs. And it is incumbent on us to advocate to the Victorian State Government to bring this back into balance, and for us also to undertake initiatives to get us closer back to the intended 50-50 state and council funding contribution. It is also important to understand that the immunisation program is a really important service delivered and made available, enabled by the council. And the motion that is before us tonight sees council staying with responsibility to ensure that this service is available for our community, but would see the direct service delivery of that moved to a provider. That does not back council away from its responsibilities for the service. It is just a change in the service delivery methodology. And the motion before us tonight does ensure that if we do go down the procurement approach for a direct service provider for immunisation, that we do consider accessibility and geographic service provision. They are really important elements of us ensuring an effective immunisation program in the longer term. So in that context, I'm very happy to see this service review report before us, and very happy to be supporting tonight's motion. With that, I will put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.4 on tonight's agenda is the draft complaint handling policy. And again, I would invite the Acting Director of Corporate Performance, Ms. Amanda Finn, to present this item.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider the adoption of the complaint handling policy prepared in accordance with Section 107 of the Local Government Act 2020, following the completion of community consultation. The Local Government Act requires all councils to have a complaint handling policy. Council's existing policy was last reviewed in 2021, and while largely current, has been updated to improve accessibility and ease of understanding. At the Council meeting held on the 25th of February, Council endorsed the draft complaint handling policy for community consultation for a minimum period of 21 days. That consultation ran from the 2nd of March to the 24th of March, and while there were over 3,000 social media views and 37 visitors to the Moira Matters landing page, no submissions or feedback were received. Key changes to the policy include clearer language, improved structure, and separation of policy from procedure content, aligning with the Victorian Ombudsman's best practice. Upon adoption, Council will launch an online complaint form to support accessible lodgement, and internal operating procedures will be finalised. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Finn. I'm happy to move that Council number 1 note that no submissions were received during community consultation on the draft complaint handling policy conducted in accordance with Council's community engagement policy from the 2nd of March to the 24th of March 2026. Number 2, adopt the complaint handling policy as included in Attachment 1 and prepared in accordance with Section 107 of the Local Government Act 2020. Number 3, note that the complaint handling policy will take effect upon finalisation and endorsement by the Chief Executive Officer of the supporting internal procedures. And number 4, revoke the complaint handling procedure adopted by Council on the 15th of December 2021, noting that internal operating procedures will be in place to support implementation of the newly adopted complaint handling policy. Is there a seconder for that item?
I will second that item.
Thank you, Administrator Benedika. As Ms Finn has described, this is an important element, again, of our overall governance framework. It is important that we have an effective and highly transparent policy to deal with complaints as they may come towards the council. Yeah, we did go through a community consultation and engagement approach, and there were quite a considerable amount of interest shown in the draft policy, but that did not translate into any submissions received. And in that context, I'm really happy that we now are in a position to finally adopt the policy and implement it as a best practice approach to complaints handling across the council. Do you wish to speak as seconder of the motion?
Briefly, we have considered this at length at the council meeting where we looked at the draft, and then to have no comments coming back in tells us we must be on track, in my view. So thank you.
With that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 8.5 on this evening's agenda is the Yarrawonga Aerodrome Master Plan 2026, and I would invite the Director of Infrastructure, Ms Rachel Gadd, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair Administrator Emerson. This report presents a series of upgrade projects across a 20-year horizon for the Yarrawonga Aerodrome to increase the site's compliance and capacity to deliver services into the future. The master plan has been developed following extensive stakeholder and community engagement through an online survey and also face-to-face stakeholder meetings. Importantly, the proposed upgrades will require external funding to support their delivery, and the master plan really positions council to pursue funding opportunities as they arise. It also explores the option of light industrial development to the east of the runway as an income source for council to assist in funding the upgrades and to increase economic development opportunities at the aerodrome. During the development of the master plan, the need for a review of operational costs, income opportunities, and the establishment of a suitable stakeholder engagement model were identified. A service review is proposed, which will critically assess whether current operating arrangements represent the best value for ratepayers. The recommendation also includes the establishment of a biannual stakeholder engagement program to maintain relationships with aerodrome stakeholders. In summary, the master plan is a strategic document proposed to future-proof the aerodrome to service the Yarrawonga and surrounding regions for recreation, tourism, medical and business services into the future. And the recommendation is as presented.
Thank you, Ms Gadd. I'm happy to move that Council Number 1 note the outcomes of community and stakeholder engagement undertaken on the draft Yarrawonga Aerodrome Master Plan 2026 in accordance with Council's community engagement policy. Number 2, endorse the Yarrawonga Aerodrome Master Plan 2026 as included in Attachment 1 and prepared in accordance with Council's strategic planning responsibilities under the Local Government Act 2020. Number 3, note that a service review will be undertaken within 12 months of endorsement to assess opportunities to improve operational efficiency and reduce ongoing operating costs at the aerodrome, and that this review will be conducted in accordance with Council's service planning framework policy. Number 4, endorse the establishment of an ongoing aerodrome stakeholder engagement program comprising 2 information and communication sessions per year. Number 5, note that the infrastructure upgrade projects identified in the master plan are currently unfunded and not included in Council's long-term financial plan and will require external funding to support their delivery. Number 6, note that the recommendations of the gender impact assessment included in Attachment 2 and direct the Chief Executive Officer to have regard to these recommendations when implementing future infrastructure upgrades and facility improvements at the aerodrome. And number 7, authorise the Chief Executive Officer or a delegate of the Chief Executive Officer to implement the above resolutions, including initiating an expression of interest process for the land development precincts identified in the master plan. Is there a seconder for that motion?
Yes, I will second that motion.
Thank you, Administrator Benedika. The Yarrawonga Aerodrome is a really important community asset provided and maintained by the council. There has been extensive community feedback and particularly engagement with stakeholders at the aerodrome in shaping this master plan, which really is a blueprint for the next 20 years to future-proof the Yarrawonga Aerodrome as a really important community asset. The recommendations of the master plan are broken down into short, medium and long-term improvement opportunities. And whilst there is no current funding to support the implementation of some of those initiatives, what this master plan does is now position us well when external funding opportunities do become available, that we're in a strong position to put ourselves forward to access that funding. Without this type of master plan, we're very much restricted from applying for funding grants when they become available, often without sufficient notice. I'm really pleased to see that the recommendation is to establish a stakeholder engagement approach, so an approach which would see a biannual information and communication session with stakeholders at the aerodrome. It's really important that we keep close to and keep informed those with a direct and real interest in the aerodrome, and I'm really pleased to see that as part of the recommendation here tonight. It does also call out the master plan an opportunity for future development of two precincts within the overall aerodrome that do lend themselves to the potential future development to complement the aerodrome. And the part of the resolution tonight is to authorise the CEO to move forward to initiating expressions of interest to see how we might be able to best progress the development of those two precincts. That again will need to go through processes that will need due diligence applied to them and be very transparent. But it is important that we seize these opportunities and advance them when the time is right. So I'm really pleased to see this master plan before us tonight. As it's been said, this does future-proof the aerodrome as a really valuable community asset for the long term. Do you wish to speak as seconder of the motion?
I wish to agree absolutely on the importance of this plan and the importance of the aerodrome to the whole of our shire, not just to the one place in which people land. It brings people in, distributes them as well. There are a number of points I wanted to make. First of all, I congratulate the officers on the extensive engagement when the draft master plan went out and then holding face-to-face sessions and really getting the feedback, and that feedback was shown to shape the final master plan. So things were absolutely heard. The experience of those people who gave and stakeholders who gave that feedback was then incorporated into the final master plan. It was really good practice. As mentioned by the Chair Administrator, this now positions us as ready for funding. It is not funded projects, but projects now ready to take up opportunities when grants are made available. The service review is going to be an important part if this motion is adopted. That service review is continuing to seek operational efficiencies and reducing those ongoing operating costs in the best possible way. And the biannual stakeholder sessions, as pointed out by Chair Administrator Emerson, are really our commitment and the ongoing commitment to keeping stakeholders engaged, to hearing from them and to having the best possible outcomes for our community.
With that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 9.1 on this evening's agenda is the Curbside Collection Changes 12-month implementation review, and I would invite the Director of Sustainable Development, Mr. Brian Sword, to present this report.
Thank you, Chair Administrator. This report provides a 12-month review of the curbside collection services and the changes introduced in February 2025. The service changes, including revised landfill and organic collection frequencies and the introduction of a glass bin, were designed to significantly increase waste diversion from landfill. The results demonstrate clear, measurable environmental benefits for Moira Shire community. Waste sent to landfill has reduced by 23%, equivalent to 1,098 tonnes over the reporting period. Organic collection is increased by 29%, or 964 tonnes, showing strong behaviour change in how waste is managed in households. Overall waste diversion from landfill has increased from 55% to 65.8% compared to the previous year. Contamination rates in the organic stream remain below 1%, which is an excellent outcome by industry standards. These outcomes position council as a leader in curbside waste management and provide progress towards the state government target of 80% waste diversion by 2030. The results reflect both the effectiveness of the service change and strong community participation. We will continue to monitor performance, report outcomes, and maintain community education programs. I'd like to acknowledge and thank our community and staff for achieving this significant milestone in waste management. And I'm also pleased to advise that this initiative, and in particular the strong results it has delivered, has been recognised as a finalist in the 2026 Local Government Professional Awards of Excellence in the Environmental Sustainability category. The winner of this award will be announced in June. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sword. Is there a motion for this item tonight?
Yes, I'd like to move that Council, number 1, note the 12-month waste collection and diversion performance results following the introduction of curbside waste collection frequency changes implemented in February 2025. 2, note these changes reduced waste sent to landfill by 23%, which was equal to 1,098 tonnes over the 12-month period. 3, note these changes increased organic collection by 29%, which is equal to 964 tonnes over the 12-month period. 4, note diversion from landfill increased from 55 to 65.8% when compared to the prior 12-month period. 5, note the contamination rate of organics waste from curbside collection remains on average below 1%. And 6, acknowledge and thank the community's efforts and contributions towards achieving these results.
And I'm happy to second that motion. Do you wish to speak to the motion?
These are significant results by any measure. Certainly very much seen by external people as setting a bit of a benchmark. The changes when they were initiated were quite painful changes for people in the community, but the results have been outstanding. These results are great environmental results, but also have an economic and financial benefit for council. We can prolong the life of the waste cells that we need to develop, and this prolonging of that life is really worthwhile. Environmentally, being able to have organic collections go back into being productive composted and compostable material, having other glass and plastics re-diverted and put into recycling and reuse and into our circular economy. All of these are great changes that we can make, and it's the community that we need to thank. We've certainly put in place these changes, but the community's actually embraced those changes, and we really like to thank and acknowledge that effort.
Thank you, Administrator Benedika. Just to echo those words, this has been a substantial achievement in diverting waste away from landfill over the last 12 months. To see almost 1,100 tonnes of waste that would have otherwise ended up in our landfill, now diverted away and used elsewhere, is a really substantial achievement over a 12-month period. This has been behavioural change, and we do need to thank the community and congratulate the community for the way they've embraced the changes in the curbside delivery arrangements. The results speak for themselves. To have an overall diversion now of nearly 66% of every tonne of waste that's delivered to the curb for collection is a really substantial achievement. We've got more to do here. We do have a target of 80%, but to achieve a almost 11% achievement in 1 year is a really substantial achievement. So congratulations to our staff, but particularly to the Moira community for the way they've embraced such a really significant achievement. With that, I'll put the motion. Those in favour? The motion is carried. Mr. CEO, I understand there's no notices of motion, petitions, joint letters or matters for the council seal tonight.
Correct, Chair. You got ahead of me on that one.
Okay. Are there any matters of urgent business?
Not tonight, Chair.
We do have a question under public question time tonight. We have a question from Mr. Peter Mansfield, who is with us in the gallery. Mr. Mansfield, would you like to come forward to the lectern? Do you wish us to read your question whilst you make your way to the lectern?
Yeah, thank you, Commission Chair. The question generally was asking Moira Shire what they've done with the Murray-Darling Basin Plan review, if they're going to introduce any particular items that they'd like to put forward. The item I'd like to see the council put forward to the Murray-Darling Basin Plan review is that for the installation of environmental toilets at popular camping sites on the rivers in the basin. The reason is to stop the pollution of bush toilets leaching into the river, prevention of blue-green algae outbreaks. The thing is that the Murray River is rapidly deteriorating. We all know that. The rise in free camping is causing a lot of problems. The best stretch of the river, of river camping in the basin is between Yarrawonga and Barmer, all of which is in the Moira Shire. Thousands of campers descend on this stretch of the river, especially in summer and especially at Easter. I believe Council should submit a proposal along these lines to the Murray-Darling Basin Review. In finishing, the first thing that people from South Australia who relocate to Victoria complain about the quality of water delivered from Victoria upstream. By providing environmental toilets in the river, this might alleviate some of the problems that ex-South Australians get. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mansfield. I'll invite the CEO to provide a response to your question.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Peter, for the question. I'm not sure if that comment about South Australians relocating to Victoria was in reference to myself. I don't believe I've ever complained about the water quality coming out of the river system, but thank you. Just in answer to your question this evening, so Council is in the process of finalising a submission to the Murray-Darling Basin Review. We have been working closely with our colleagues at the Murray River Group of Councils, and we have received the Murray River Group of Council substantive submission. Our submission will be an extension of that submission, and we will have that finalised and submitted by Friday next week. That will be reviewed by the administrators, and it will make its way for noting at the next council meeting, obviously with the timing of the council meetings. I would just add to that that I would encourage others, including yourself, to provide your own submission. I think the more submissions, the more voices will be heard through that process. But I do thank you for the question. Thanks. Thank
you, Mr. CEO. And just to reinforce that, this 10-year review of the Murray-Darling the Basin Plan is a really critical opportunity for us to influence the next 10 years of the way the river system is managed. And we would encourage everyone who has an interest to get their submissions in by next Friday, the 1st of May, isn't it? Yes, the 1st of May is the deadline. So again, Mr. Mansfield, thank you for your interest and your question tonight. There being no further business on tonight's agenda, we will close tonight's meeting. Can I again thank those members of the gallery who have joined us here tonight in the meeting room, and to those members of the community who have joined us via the live streaming service. Thank you also for being part of tonight's meeting.